What's up, guys? Just now we're gonna see the concept of dynamic components. For example, in this page, the component you are seeing here, the uh, apple, orange, pineapple, strawberry, etc. These are created dynamically, and the name to the component has been assigned dynamically. Let's go to our code and see how we have managed to create this. So this is the dynamic component. Inside your component we have the parent, which contains our dynamic child component, and this is the dynamic child. So inside our dynamic child, if you see, we have only one component with a heading title. We may have different, depending upon our requirement, we may have different buttons or different inputs, and many different buttons assigned to different functionality as well. So now if we go to our parent component, we are attaching here the dynamic child component. Now let's go for our TS file here. If you see, in dynamic parent we have imported the dynamic component inside our dynamic parent component, and here we have created a entry point. This is a name given to the template to say that we're going to be created our dynamic component in reference with this element. Just like in our outlet or routing outlet, after that we created our components of the route outlet. The same way with in dynamic component creation, we will be using this template entry point and create our dynamic component appending to this component. So these are we have one sec, there is something I have to say. These stuffs we didn't mention yet here, but I will go later to these concepts. First we will create the components dynamically. So to create dynamically, we just have to create one entry point, and we have to include the dynamic component. After putting the entry point, we have to access that with view child entry and read view container reference. We have to import the view container reference from Angular core, and we have to assign that to our entry point. Entry point is not syntax, it's just variable that we have assigned to our template. Now if we go ahead, this code is different. This is not applicable for now. I will show you how we apply the template, but now you're using the read view container ref. After creating this reference, if you see ng after content init, we are creating a constant factory. Inside factory, sorry, the spelling is wrong, but it's fine. So we are just invoking the resolver service here. If you see the constructor, we are injecting component factory resolver from Angular core and assigning that to the name resolver, and then we are creating a constant factory and assigning it to resolver component factory, and we are creating a factory of components. And then because we want to create several times, so I have assumed in a scenario that let us create an array apple, orange, pineapple. In real scenario, this may be a object or array of object data. For example, we are creating a dating site and you are getting the profile data as an array, so we can imagine this is that information. Then we are using a for each loop on that array, and we are creating instance of that component factory, same as we are creating factory, and every time we call a functionality, it gives us an instance of that object. In the same way, every time we are creating a instance of that factory. So here every time we create an instance, it will create a new component for us on the DOM. So because and just forget this code, I will give you what this code is doing in a moment. Up to this code, we are creating every instant for every element of the code. So and second point, we have to, after putting entry here, we have to go back to our app module, and then we have to create an entry here, entry components, and we will be assigning our dynamic child component. It will tell Angular that this we are going to create this component in runtime as a dynamic component. After doing this, we are all set, and it will create for each array element, it will create an instance of that factory and give us a new component, and it will be like doing this means will be repeated. Now let's go for, I will show you what is the implicit function here is doing. For example, if we are go to the dynamic child component, okay, submit title, fine. So here, if we are creating another template and we want to repeat that as well based on the data, then what it will do is when we create a let name for the template, it will treat it as implicit. For example, the value we will give to implicit, it will be allocated to the value that is not assigned to not get assigned with another value, right? This let location, in this case, this is we are creating a template here. Inside the template, we are giving a template reference, and we are with view child, we are getting that template reference, and then inside this for loop, we are creating a embedded view. In embedded view, also we're gonna we don't have to do that, that's fine. In embedded view, this the template. Inside this template, we are creating location to ny and implicit blah 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 blah. So implicit will be assigned to the value let name, and let location will be assigned with the location ny, and it will then repeat itself again and again here because we are mentioned inside for loop. Now go to this template outlet. This is, we are creating a template outlet and assigning value to it. For example, in this case, we have created a wall, and then we are creating a template output at concept. Here we are, rather than giving this kind of assigner, we are creating ng template outlet and binding with the value called tmpl. And so it will get binded with the same template reference here, and then we are giving a context. The context is ctx, which is the object that we have created here. So it will create this template on the basis of this ctx, and we have to mention a ng container. So basically this will create our element here. It will take the values from the object and create the template for us depending on the context with each object. So because we are creating ng template outlet, this is creating this template, taking this template from here and inserting inside ng container. So there is three way we are seeing dynamic process here. One is we created the dynamic component by assigning a entry point, creating a component factory, and a view container reference. So after resolve component factory here, when we assign the dynamic component and we created the components dynamically entry point. Second, we have created a template, then we have assigned the value to the template using template reference here, and with template reference we create a embedded view inside this by creating uh, giving value implicit and ny to this. Then we created an out template outside the embedded view of this component and assign this with our manual template, which is tmpl here. So it will take value from this template and create this one. So here is the three way to create components dynamically. Thank you so much.